You received a call from an inmate at the Department of Corrections. This call will be recorded and monitored. If you wish to block any future calls of this nature, dial 7 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up.
Well, hello, William. What's the word? So the cellmate had a visitation denial. Yeah, I am very, very familiar with the visitation denial. Is it going to appeal it or? Okay, good. Yeah, I know. His son wants to visit him, and his uncle has been denied, and so now the son can't go, and that's just to me that's just cruel. Is there a reason behind it? Do you know? Okay, now you see that is a good reason to deny uh, the visitation, but he could appeal, and he could apply again in about 3 months. But I just hate seeing that, and from what I understand, it's very difficult to get denied. But in my case, I was denied for years because they're telling me that I violated multiple policies, and it's just crazy. Well, no. I'm back on track now. It's just one of those things you just have to stick with it. You have to keep going. And if you appeal and put the word out, maybe even call them or something, and let them know that you support this person, and this is just wrong. Well, at least put it back up in the spotlight. But I really suggest that your cellmate contact the Department of Corrections, especially the visitation area, and discuss this matter, because this is not something you just let slip, and it shouldn't fall through the cracks. And if he has somebody else that could take his son over there, maybe another relative or a close friend, and I don't know, maybe the child's mother could do it. It's just visitation and communication through email or phone or snail mail. This is the kind of stuff that we need to emphasize. We Communication between incarcerated people and the outside world really does make a difference, and I just can't see someone ignoring that or playing it, and that's the kind of stuff that I definitely fight for. And yeah, I know I know it's tough, and I know his options are limited, but he can't give up. And sometimes you can find community leaders who could help out, or volunteer groups, nonprofits are out there. He could even talk to his counselor, talk to the DOC, and see if there's a way that he could get his son out to visit him. Yeah, I know how stressful that can be, and it definitely hurts in rehabilitation. Here lately, I've been requesting assistance from the legal authorities out here, and they'll come back and give me some pretty good references. And if you need to fight it legally, I'll be happy to help with
You have
the
60 seconds remaining.
with the request. Just let me know if your cellmate is looking for some help, and I can definitely point him in the right direction. There's a lot of options to the visitation denial, and I just think this guy needs a little bit of assistance from the community, and let's see how well the DOC responds.
You
Do
have
they
30 seconds remaining.
consider this serious? They broadcast it. This is a very serious matter to them, and they believe that rehabilitation and getting back into the community is something that visitors help with. Instead of constantly you know, putting us down because they think we're bringing in contraband. That's silly. Visitors aren't bringing in contraband. Okay, good. Good. Yeah. Just talk to them. Let them know that
Thank
there's.
you for using inmate call. Goodbye.
Well, hello, and welcome to AQS Inmate Call. And I'm your host, Joel Wilborn. And in this episode, I want to talk about the value of communicating with loved ones on the outside. I am vehemently against people being blocked from visiting their loved one who's incarcerated. And I understand a few instances, and I don't oppose those. If there's uh, a violent exchange between them during a visitation, or if they're sending threatening emails or even threatening folks over the phone, we have our limits. Free speech does have limitations, and we don't need people threatening folks or being just rude and obnoxious. There's a limit on that. And I'm not going to support people visiting or sending emails or talking on the phone who support that kind of stuff and engage in that kind of stuff. But I will say one thing, when I first started out visiting, it was years ago, pretty much in the 80s, I didn't have any problem. And I've never had problems until the Washington Correction Center. And that was 2009 is when I started dealing with the Washington Department of Corrections. And then just about 10 years later, they decide they want to be knotheads about it and block me from visiting, which I never had a problem with visiting until they just kind of make stuff up. My first denial, I drove all the way out there, drove 300 miles to visit my loved one. She invited me over for a special event. I went in to do the special event, and they just told me my visitation was terminated. She didn't know why. I didn't know why, and they came back and said that I had done a third-party email correspondence. Of course, that's an email thing, and you should only associate that with email and the email policy, but not these guys. They took that and said that it applied to visitation. I wasn't denying visitation. I did not do anything against the visitation policy, but there they are. They can do whatever they want. I appealed it and won, got my visitation back. But the whole event was just ruined, and they weren't going to compensate me for the nonsense. Now the superintendent of the facility is long since gone, and I don't miss her. I mean, she just wasn't really doing her job. She put too many personal things in there. Said I was a predator, and wasn't a big fan of hers. And the current one, I'm not a big fan of that person either. But I will say, when my fiance was in there, Paula Gardner, and I wanted to visit her. I wanted to do a video visit. I wanted to send her email. They just denied me. And she won a settlement because of their negligence. They didn't follow policy. Here they are accusing me of not following policy, and they didn't follow policy, which results in a terminal cancer diagnosis. And now she's just living her life the best she can. And that wasn't fair. It wasn't fair what they did to her. And then to knock her when she's down and say you can't visit. I mean, I could have picked up both her sons and we could have driven out there and visited with her and left with no incident. I don't have incidents when I visit. I don't smuggle anything in. I don't threaten anybody. I'm not a danger to those facilities. And to block me from all Washington Department of Corrections facilities is just plain ludicrous. Yet, that's what they did. And so, since I can apply every 90 days, I would apply here the same reason from the same person. So, the person who denies me is the person who answers the appeals. Doesn't make any sense. They weren't following policy when they permanently suspended me, and they weren't following policy when I appealed. But when Paula got out, I had really no reason to visit anybody over there, kept communicating with folks. And then I thought, you know what? It's been a while. I wonder what they're saying now. Should I continue to admonish them for denying my visitation? Is this going to be an issue from now on? And the only way to find out is to dive into it. So I picked a person at the Washington State Penitentiary and applied. And I told him, I applied to visit you. He was excited because nobody visited him. And he would call, check on it. And I thought, said, you know, they put on their website that before you apply that there could be a 45 day delay or longer. And I accepted that. But he was, I guess he was kind of bored, kind of excited to get a visitor. And I had visited him on the Securus website, did a video visit when he was in jail. And then when he got to prison, they had denied all of that stuff. So I couldn't get in to to visit him or anybody or even go to the facilities. And I like to challenge that being a prison advocate. And I would go out to pick up people from prison and I would go in there and just, hey, I'm out here. I'm on this facility. I mean, they didn't really give me any problems. They were real cordial about it. And so it's kind of a disappointing for me because I was looking for something to fight, but they were good. And so I'm not going to hold that against them. Now, I haven't been to the Washington State Penitentiary in a while. I went and picked the person up, brought him out, and we talked and discussed the real stuff that's going on there that they couldn't discuss over email and the phone. And that's nice when I do that. And so I like going to the facilities, pick people up, and I like getting those little debriefings afterwards. But that was put on hold. And so my friend, I applied, he called them, and finally he got somebody, and he asked what the status was. And she was saying, "Oh, he passed the background. Everything's okay. He's just on the back burner, and I don't know why." And then he decides to say, "Well, my grandmother died and left me $100,000, and if you don't get him approved for visitation, then I'll take this to court. I have no problem with that." And she says, "No, no, no. You don't have to go to court. I'll look into it." And then magically, I'm approved. So after all these years, it's been close to 5 years. I'm back on the visitation list. Nothing's changed. I think the staff was moved around a bit, which is typical for those guys, and maybe that's one of the reasons why things are working out for me. But I don't know. It's just like, wow, after all this time of being denied visitation, denied access to DOC facilities, here I am. I'm able to visit again. So I get to go back out, get on the little wagon train again. And the state of Washington, they do offer vouchers. So if you live over 150 miles away, they'll help you out. And I do qualify because I live twice that far away from pretty much all the facilities that I visit. There's only one that's close by, and I wouldn't qualify because it's about 20 miles away, I guess, from where I am. Well, not even that much, maybe 15. And I know people there, but I haven't applied to visit anybody. And I can only visit one person. And since this guy's in for a very long time, I would have to take him off my visitation list and then reapply for somebody else. And there's really no reason for me to do that. I'll be quite happy and content. And I'm still in shock. It's just amazing that they would actually do this after all this time. Now, since my JPay account was permanently suspended, I decided I was going to send an email to those guys and ask what's going on. Because there's people in Tennessee I'd like to talk to, but they use JPay. And I can't use JPay because when they block, I don't even know why they do it. I'm not even going to make something up. But when they did block it, they blocked all of my JPay access. So no one in the United States who uses JPay, I can't talk to these people. So I don't know what the Washington Department of Corrections has that makes them decide that I can't use it for anybody, but so be it. And we'll see. Maybe they'll unblock that and I can start using JPay in the other states, and some cases use JPay to add money to books at county level. I don't have any problem visiting folks in jail or sending money or letters or even in some cases emails in any jail anywhere. But boy, the Washington Department of Corrections. And I talked to an inmate asking a question for another person, and she was saying things are a little bit better, a lot different than the last time she was in prison. And she was giving this message to a person who'd been out for a little while. So she's saying it's really changed since you've been there. And so it was nice to hear that things are a little bit better. The officers are not as in your face as they used to be, and punishment like they used to send folks down to the hole. And I really had problems with that, and I would send email after email about why people are going to the hole. They eliminated that, so if you do get anywhere near a hole, it's because of medical or somebody is just being held to keep them safe. Maybe they've been threatened by other um, inmates, or maybe they're threatening other inmates. So that's understandable. And when I ask if anything's going on, the folks usually don't complain about isolation. So I'm happy to see that progress. And it's a shame that we have to go to court or threaten to go to court or even send a barrage of emails or telephone calls or letters just to get the Department of Corrections to do what we pay them to do. It's just, it's mind boggling. Why do I have to sue the Department of Corrections? You know, like in the case of Paula, why'd she have to get a $9.9 million settlement to get them to do what they're supposed to do? And I don't know the results. I've got a couple more on the back burner that I'm vouching for. Do they need to go to court? Do we need to get an attorney and threaten them? I mean, there's a good possibility I can go down. See, now that the state of Washington doesn't require people to take the bar exam, I could probably go in, take some classes, go do the internship, and become an attorney myself and just spend my time suing the Washington Department of Corrections. You would think $9.9 million would wake them up, but people are still dying of cancer. People are still picking up cancer. People are still being denied their medication or being delayed treatment. And I don't see it. To me, it would be cheaper and easier just to follow them. But hey, if they want to give away $10 million, I'm more than happy to help them out. And I'll keep right on applying for assistance from attorneys and putting people's names out there. So far, the one case that I was working on that deals with privacy concerns could very well get out there. And maybe it'll make news. I mean, it made news that she was caught doing these things. Maybe it'll make news that she's going to sue them. And maybe she'll get a settlement too. We'll have another millionaire. But this deals with the transgender community. And that's a touchy subject in this state. They would rather hide it than to release it to the public, let them know what's going on. But no matter what the case, if it's transgender or if it's racial, if it's religious freedom of speech or human rights, we need to let folks know that when people get locked up, that wasn't part of the deal. You committed this terrible crime. We're locking you up and taking away rights that other prisoners have, but you don't in this particular case. Or we're going to sentence you to 10 years, but it's actually a life sentence because you're going to die in prison because we're not going to take care of you. There shouldn't be suicides, shouldn't be COVID stuff in there, and they shouldn't be blaming the visitors. It's the visitors that need to be scrutinized instead of the staff. And staff is what's bringing in the COVID, and staff is what's bringing in the contraband. I know that. I know staff members that do it. I know people that are in the prison that sell and distribute contraband. Good gravy. But and for me, I can contact the Washington State Patrol, and they'll go out and look at it, and they'll actually make arrests because they listen. The DOC doesn't. And I want the safety and security. And if they can't do it, I'll do it myself. And it's just a shame that they would ignore my calls or tell me that we're not going to talk about this matter anymore. They're just forcing me to find other means. And these other means work. The headquarters of DOC is now listening. The governor's office, third party, attorneys. It's a shame I have to go that route, but at least they're getting noticed. And we'll keep that up. So I hope we don't have to keep going to court to get them to do what we pay them to do. But it looks like that's just about the only effective way to do it. We have to pay for their mistakes. Our tax money that could be used for other things is going to pay off people that were abused while sitting in prison. Nothing to do with the penal system. This is something that's a personal vendetta. It's just a laziness, whatever. Well, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you'll be able to help us in our mission to keep this city safe. We're not going to do that by building more prisons or abusing prisoners. We're going to do that by bringing the community together, by listening to folks, by taking advice, by keeping patrol of the prisons, and making sure the people that we pay just do their job. These policies are good. The laws are good. We can end crime because once they walk out and they feel useful, they feel that they've earned some skills and some good training in prison. They'll get out. They'll become a better person. I've seen it happen. I've helped it happen, and I'd like to see it continue. And we're getting there. It's a slow process. We're getting there, but we could certainly use your help. So if you're willing to get out there and talk to these people, send them letters, send them a Christmas card, that is fantastic. Well, go out and have yourself a marvelous day and make amazing memories for tomorrow.